What is up, everybody? David Thule here. This is week number 2 of getting started in open exploration, and today I'm going to be showing you some data manipulation techniques. We're going to use the query builder tool and the field calculation tool within QGIS in order to prep our data so we can do the geoscientific work we need. This is just a short episode. It is Christmas week, so we're going to get this in and get it over with. But it's going to be useful tools. So let's roll the intro and get right to it. Okay, so if you remember from last week, we left off with a shapefile that is partially symbolized. It has a bunch of little question marks in it because I didn't finish assigning all the attributes. But when we were offline between last week and this week, I went ahead and assigned everything that I wanted. But what I want to do first is we want to go in and we want to select down this entire shapes files of wells, and we want to actually just pick what we're working with. And to do that, we're going to go up and we're going to click on Select Features by Polygon. So first we want to actually click on the layer we're interested in, and then we can draw a polygon on the map that lets us narrow it down to the wells that we're interested in. In this case, that's the Powder River Basin. So I'm going to click on my little polygon selector, and I'm going to just draw a shape crudely around what I want. And when I've selected the wells that I'm interested in, and I'm down here and need to close in the shape, I'm just going to right click it, and that's going to close in the shape, and you'll see the wells now are selected in yellow. So when I have this, since we don't have a data system in place, we're just working from some data files, I'm going to actually save this out to a new geopackage. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose export and save selected features as, and doing that will bring up this menu, and I'm going to choose a geopackage. It's nice because it lets things stay symbolized and we can give it a file name. You might call it Wyoming well header symbolized, or Wyoming well headers, or Wyoming wells. It doesn't matter. I've already done this, so I'm not going to actually save, but you can do that here. Once we have that saved file, there are some other things we're going to want to do to it. So let me turn on my properly symbolized layer, and I'll zoom in just a little bit. And if we double click to open this, I've done a couple of things. Well, one, I've properly put the symbology in here the way I'm happy with it. I could be much more nuanced about how I label all the wells, and I'll show you that in a moment. But what I've done is in this source tab, I've gone in and I've created this query. And this query, it was built in what's called Query Builder inside QGIS. It's kind of a SQL-ish sort of programming language that lets you select wells by their features. So in this case, I want a file that is only the actual drilled wells. I don't want permits in there. So I've set this query to say I want status, not like WP, not like AP, and not like EP. And those are all permit types or permit statuses in the state of Wyoming. So yours will look different than this if you need to filter out permits. But for me, this works. And I've done one other thing, which is I've put in this line here that says, and I don't want it to be a coal bed well. There's a lot of coal bed methane wells in Wyoming. So let me show you what that looks like if I take that out. So let me delete that. In the query builder, I'm going to delete that line, and I'm going to test it. And so there's like 37,000 rows. If I go ahead and I put that line back in and I test my query, there's 19,000 rows. So you can see those coal bed methane wells take up a lot of space. So let me just show you and demonstrate it on the actual map. So I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to choose Apply. And I'm going to say OK one more time. You can see this black density of coal bed methane wells. So like, it's a good idea for me to get rid of those. It makes it really hard for me to see what's going on with all of them on there. You know, unless you're interested in coal bed methane, but who is at this point? So let's double click on the layer to go back into that. And I'm going to go back into the query builder. And the way we use this is pretty simple. It's a pretty simple sort of language. And so if I want to like add another line here, I can put and it's a multi-feature sort of piece. So I'm going to put a bracket in, and I'm going to put, you know, coal bed. And I just found that in the data set, right? So it's in here in my fields. There's actually one called coal bed. It's right here. And if I want to filter on this, maybe I don't know what properties are inside of this feature. I can choose this button over here, all, which is going to show me all of the values that are inside of it. So no and yes and yes. Unfortunately, we have caps and lowercase, so I've got to put both of those in here. And I can just do that by basically clicking, you know, if I want to put the word coal bed in, I can just double click it. And coal bed is in there, and then I want to put in an operator. So again, I'll just click on that operator, and it gets inserted into the code, so I'm sure that I don't have any typos. And then, you know, if I want to put this field in, again, I'll just double click on that field and it gets inserted, and I can test it and everything is good and we're cool with it. Okay, so I'm going to apply that and say okay. And what I might want to do here is now make just a well symbols layer, right? So I'll right click this and I'll say export and I'll say save feature as. And because it's filtered, the features that get saved out will only be what's visualized, and it won't necessarily have the query in there. So that's great, and I probably want to do the converse of this because there's a good chance I want to see all the permits as well, right? So if I go in here and I take out all of the not likes in the query builder, if I just take all of the nots out and I leave the likes, I'll be able to make the opposite shapefile, and I test it again. There we go, delete that. Test. Oop, I've done something wrong. I need a series of ors in here, I believe. Yes, there we go. So because I don't have that extra and, I actually want it if it's got this status or that status. And you can show like 58,000 wells. That's a little ridiculous. But I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to apply, and I'm going to say okay one more time. And yeah, I probably actually want to put that coal bed removal language back in there. So let's do that as well. Test 44,000 now. Say okay. Say apply. I'm going to say okay. And now you can see all of these leftover wells. They're in like these straight rows. That's because in the Powder River Basin, it's undergoing a lot of unconventional development. So everything's in a drilling and spacing unit, and they're going north-south. And you'll actually see, like, if we zoom in on one of these, there's actually a pile of wells that are on top of each other because they all have roughly the same surface hole location. So you can see here, I just used my identify tool, which is up here, and I drew a box around what I wanted to identify, and it's showing me that I've selected 14 items. You know, if I draw a different box, I've selected 56 items, but there's only, you know, a handful that look like it on the map, and that's because all those surface holes are stacked. Okay, great. So again, now that I've got this permit layer, I can right click it, I can export, I can save the features as, and I might call this one PRB permit. And perfect, that'll be great. So now that we've cleaned up the number of spots, you know, we've honed it down to a basin, and we've categorized things by permits and not permits, we maybe need to go in and clean up the data file just a little bit. We could also do this at the beginning. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what your data flow and data process is. Probably best practice is to do it first and then parse the file down smaller, but we won't worry about that in particular. What we want to do is let me show you this. So let's go into the attribute table. So I'm just going to right click and I'm going to say open attribute table. And if we start looking in here, you know, everything in our world is tied to API number, location and API number. And if we start looking through the fields, we can see this one here, which is called API no, but in Wyoming, that field, this data file, is only populated with the county code and the series code. There are 4 trailing zeros left off the end, and there's also the state prefix that's missing the 49 from the front. So let's see if there's another suitable field, or if we have to recreate it from scratch, what exactly we have to do. This is going to be true in any state. You know, you might have to manipulate these data. So that's what we're doing. We're just cleaning it up. So if I come across the table, great. I see this column here that's called CAPI number. So that is the API number of the well with, like I said, it's got the preceding 49, it's got the series code, and it's got the county code, and it's got the series. It's still missing the 4s. And you guys are probably looking on this table and saying, Dave, the ULI is right over there. I know that's because I made the ULI, and I did it using the field calculator. So if we're in the table here, there's this little thing at the top that looks like an abacus. And I'm sorry that the icons are small. They don't scale perfectly. I have a 40-inch 4K monitor, and even when I change it, the scaling isn't perfect. So I've compromised here for clear text, but maybe slightly small icons. It's the best I could do. So I'm going to click the thing that looks like an abacus, and it's going to bring me up this field calculator. And what I want to do here is I want to create a new field. So I'm going to click that option. I could also update an existing field. I can also create a virtual field, which is like a temporary one. But I want to make a new one. I want this here forever. And I'm going to put in an output field name. In this case, I'm going to call it ULI2 because I already calculated a ULI, but I want you to see the process. And I want to set this to a text string. And I know how long that text string is. It's going to be 14 digits in the API number. So the field calculator in QGIS is super powerful. You can do all kinds of things with it. You can use Python almost natively. You can write really complex functions that do things to your data. So you don't have to like put it through a Jupyter notebook and then put it through QGIS. You could do a lot of those steps right in here. But today we're going to just do a really simple one. We're going to use regex, which is a way to change the characters. So regular expressions. And we're going to do a couple of things. The first command is this concat. That's basically put all of these items together in one text field. And we're going to use regex replace. And that is a way to replace a character with another character. So in this case, we're going to say go to the CAPI number field, which remember is the one we just identified. It's got the dashes in it. And it's going to say replace this dash, that's the quote, dash quote, and then comma, and we're going to replace it with nothing. There's not a space there. It's just an open quote and a closed single quote. And then we close that bracket because that's what closes the replace function. Put in a comma, and we're concatenating. We want to put 4 trailing zeros on the end to get to 14 digits of API. So it's not super critical in Wyoming because, but like Colorado starts with a beginning 0. It's 05, and then the county code, and then whatever. So we need to make sure that this is pretty clear. And you can see down here that it's showing us an example of what this will look like. You know, if I was to replace this with a 0001, It gives the example, so it's a way for us to double check what we're working on. You know, this is crazy powerful to be able to do even simple things like this, but more complicated sort of full Python scripts can be executed as well. Things that are conditional in nature that are you know, a pain in the neck. So I'm just going to click OK, and it's going to calculate these fields. And, you know, it didn't take very long. It's pretty fast. And I have a ULI too here. So that's great. Now I've got a code that I can match other things to. I might create a, you know, another data table that's got information by API. Maybe it's porosity and permeability data. Maybe it's pyrolysis data. Maybe it's an actual table of file paths to well logs. And I want them to be related so that when I click on a well on the map, I can open the well log from the link that's in there. I will show you guys how to do that. It's pretty powerful. You know, there's other things that we might want to do with this field calculator as well. You know, the status codes are a little weird in Wyoming. You know, there's this well class, which is I for injector, O for oil, G for gas. But it doesn't really tell us everything we need to know. We might also want to know whether it's producing or shut in, or producing oil or an active injector. And so maybe we want to combine those two codes in order to get an actual well status so we can have a more nuanced symbology. So, you know, I might want to know the well class plus its producing status. And that by combining those two fields with the field calculator, now I can have a more complicated symbology. Because what you'll see is if I open mine back up here, you can see that I only have very simple symbology. I've got gas, I've got, you know, disposal wells, I've got gas wells, I don't remember all the codes, injection, I've got monitor well, you know, oil, orphaned oil well and oil well. Right now they're symbolized the same, but maybe I see opportunity there, so I want to put all the orphaned ones on in a different color or something else. So I want to go in and make more complicated symbology than what I have. So that's the power of these tools and what you can do natively right inside QGIS. So I hope that you've been building a base map along with us, and you'll post it in the comments in LinkedIn and show me what you've made. And I also hope that you'll keep building along with us. So thanks for watching week number 2, and get in the comments and tell me what you think, and I'll see you again next week.